Hi, Mark Jabin here, Medical Director of the Haywood County Health Department, and let's talk about this pandemic. We're getting closer to a decision point, whether to lift at least some of the widespread restrictions. This depends on the concept of the hammer and the dance. In an ideal world, we would have had widespread testing to figure out exactly who has COVID, isolating just those who are sick or quarantining those without symptoms. We would not have had to shut down the economy so drastically. But without this level of precision, we had no choice but to cast the net far and wide, with a less desirable effect on our lives: unemployment, hunger, insecurity, suffering at the worst and annoyance at the best. We needed a hammer for a quick blow to get a grasp of the spread and control it. Once there's enough control, we can transition to the dance. Total eradication is not necessary to begin loosening the restrictions and firing up the economy. But this dance is a delicate balance. Loosen up too soon, and we are at risk of looking up a month later worse than we ever were, overwhelming the healthcare system and having to go backwards. Whipsawing this way cannot be good for any of us or the economy. And once the dance begins, it will take a well-choreographed effort to stay ahead of the virus. Relax and restrict in response to what the virus is doing. Managing this dance depends on widespread reliable testing, enough staff for contact tracing, those identified willing to quarantine or isolate, each of us willing to continue public health measures, and sufficient protection for our healthcare workers. Right now, all those pieces are not yet in place, but we are getting closer. When to exit the hammer phase and start the dance? Well, that's going to be a really tough call for our elected officials. It's just not realistic for us to expect them to get this perfectly correct the first time, or any time we need a course correction. No doubt the rumor mill and conspiracy theorists will be all over that. At each decision, the best we can do is react and respond. We are getting closer, though. Right now, we have about 2 weeks, the incubation period of the virus, before we know the impact of the choices people made over these current holidays. We'll have a much better understanding at that time. So a big shout out to each of you, because in our neck of the woods, it is starting to look like the hammer phase is doing what we'd hoped. For us to dance well together will take having all the pieces in place. I hope we remain up to the challenge. So be well, and keep finding ways to stay emotionally connected and physically distant.